And button is pressed.
Button is pressed. Oh, no, that means we have to do a show.
Pressed the button.
I
have pressed the button.
You have pressed the button. That sounds kinky. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Depends on whether or not lube was used. That's probably wrong.
If the button needs it, then hey.
Yeah, well, hello.
Welcome to the Squares Roundtable Podcast. I'm Mike, and with me is Jeff.
Hey, good afternoon. I was going to say good evening, but who knows when they're listening. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Is that what we go with? Or?
Yeah. Hope you're having an excellent day.
Wherever you are.
Or morning or afternoon or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. That's what it is.
Ivan's on vacation. He's finally getting out of the big city after, a year and a half?
Yeah. I kind of really wish the Alpine slide was open. You know he'd do it. We'd get great footage of that.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine him going down the Alpine slide? That'd be hysterical.
Gotta get him, what we need to, if we wear the Apollo Creed, the red, white, and blue trunks, swim trunks.
Oh, no. He needs to wear, that horrible tank top with the bad shorts and that one hat that he wears every so often. You know which one I'm talking about? The one that's looks like a pencil eraser kind of looking hat? Sorry, it's the best description I have, but that doesn't sound like...
Wear the pencil eraser, Ivan.
Well, fine. Wear the one that looks like a Smurf, the tip of a Smurf's penis. I don't know. I mean, that's usually the color it is, I think, right?
Well, that's pretty Smurfy, if you ask me.
Well, I wouldn't know. That's the one thing I always kind of laughed about. It's like, man, I can't imagine there weren't porn. There isn't Smurf porn out there.
I'm sure there is somewhere.
Where it's 100 Smurfs on Smurfette.
It's Rule 34. I mean, come on. It's yeah. Of course there's. Of course there is. Rule 34. It exists. There's porn of it. Whether it's live action or who knows, some
that's
sick
a part of
Panther.
That's a part of Smurfs I never understood. Where the fuck did the rest of them come from? Because it sure as hell ain't Smurfette.
I don't know whether the Smurfs, because later on in the series they had a bunch of youngins.
Yeah.
Including, I don't know how they were. I think they were created by magic or something like that. I don't know. I
have no idea.
Haven't really thought a lot about that.
No, I haven't either. I don't know why we're.
It was a big thing, in 1980, 81, when it was a big deal, and we called our 5th grade teacher Gargamel.
Oh.
Because he, kind of almost looked the part. Had the balding head.
Mm.
He didn't have the laugh, though. Anyway.
No, like I said, wasn't there a while there was, the Snorks, but the Snorks were kind of like a underwater ripoff of the Smurfs.
Exactly
right?
It's exactly what the Snorks were. They were created by the same dude.
Mm-hmm.
That Peo dude.
Yeah, I remember that.
The Snorks,
it was hey, Smurfs underwater! Yay!
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Before SpongeBob.
Yeah.
I mean...
Before SpongeBob destroyed Nickelodeon as we know it.
Did he?
Yeah.
How you figure?
At least the variety of animation on Nickelodeon. Almost watered it down.
I guess. I mean, that's true because that style is very similar to Ren and Stimpy, isn't it?
Ren and Stimpy revolutionized animation, and Ren and Stimpy a lot of animation studios borrowed from them from that style. That get those stills, those gross out shots.
Yeah, I there are certain points where I really enjoyed Ren and Stimpy, and there were other days where I was just kind of not so much. Where the gross out stuff sometimes to me was a little over the top, but I always did enjoy the music aspects for that. So, your old pal Stinky Weaseltooth will teach you to be happy, or he'll teach you to suck eggs. The Happy Happy Joy Joy song. That was always kind of fun. But,
Yep. So, it's been a wacky week for me.
Oh, my God.
It's been a wacky week for both of us, apparently.
Sunday was insane. I'm surprised I still have a voice to talk to you today. I kind of do. I'm kind of like, okay.
I'm glad you have a voice today.
Yeah. Oh my God. So do I. But yeah, no. It's
just a lot of online public speaking events.
Yeah. Sunday was just crazy. I did a seminar in the morning. Then I had a contest that I ended up winning in the afternoon, and then I'm working. By the time this airs, it'll be past. But I'm doing that Love and Star Wars show on May the 4th be with you.
We are recording on the 3rd, so be sure to leave.
Right.
I'm going to be sure to leave out blue cookies for Grogu tonight.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely. Well, so I'm part of that, and then it finally kind of starts to slow down a little bit. Well, and I had Sunday Night Stories last night too, which was Sunday on Sunday night, and so there was that. So yeah, my Sunday has been, and then obviously we're doing this tonight, and then I'm doing that storytelling show on what would be Tuesday, but we're already going to be past that point when this comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time everyone hears this, I might actually be able to take a rest just in time for, I think the following week is district. There's district conferences. So, yeah, I don't know. I was a little bit tired, but yeah, otherwise it's all good.
It was worth it. You won. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, that's, I guess, how it works. And, oh, I'm sorry, and I've been catching up with everybody. Yeah, when you got your birthday and you got all these people coming at you on Facebook in waves all over the place, how do you deal with that? Because it's I'm still answering birthday emails, between that and LinkedIn and.
Oh, I just get a bunch of messages. I'll like them all, and I'll just have a catch-all message afterward. So
yeah.
So happy belated birthday to us both. Our birthdays are 6 days apart.
Apparently so. Yeah. No, and. Ivan's the only one who's not around us, and But hey, yeah. So I'm trying to think what else is. What? So did you get to anything interesting this week, or where were you?
I was gonna watch some stuff. I've got some stuff ready to go, but I'll save that for next week. I did watch one more episode of Young Rock because I caught the news. I posted on the Squares page about how Young Rock was renewed for season 2. So
has it?
Yes,
okay.
I watched episode 6, and that was Young Rock's day with Andre.
Oh, that's a good episode.
That was one where the mom, the manager, goes to find Randy Savage because she thinks he bailed on her like King Kong Bundy and Junkyard Dog. So she goes to the hotel room, busts the door open, and he's doing it nasty with Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So,
and the funny part is, they don't say it's Elizabeth, but it totally looks like her.
Yeah, it's Elizabeth, yeah.
It's without question it has to be her. I mean,
he says, because the dude who's with her, he says happy, it's a birthday. So he said he was celebrating Elizabeth's birthday, his girlfriend's birthday or whatever. And he says something, I forget her name was Julie or something. I think Elizabeth was her stage name. But he says happy birthday something, maybe Kimberly or something like that. But then he's standing there buck naked, and it's his crotch is digitized, saying, "Why don't you close the door there behind you, brother?"
Yeah,
it's great. But yeah, it was a good one with Andre because the kid went because Dwayne or what's his nickname? What's his mom call him?
Oh God,
Dewey. Yeah, Dewey. Yeah, he says, "I want to watch E.T." And Andre's like, "Why do you want to see it?" He's like, and he can't really have an answer. It's he's just caught up in the hype. He's like, you don't need to go to the cinema to see good stories.
Yeah,
it was a good episode. I like this family feel to it. Sure, it had some, has some grown up moments, but it still has got that Wonder Years kind of folksy, down to earth kind of feel to it. So there's more episodes on Peacock. I'm gonna watch it later in the week.
Yeah, that's where Peacock's going to pick up, and it's going to have its advantages. It's interesting to me with Peacock because I do kind of look at Peacock and I'm like, okay, I do at times feel like it's kind of lagged behind in terms of, at this point HBO Max has kind of made themselves relevant thanks to their decision that they made about Frontline movies. and that's helped them tremendously. Whereas Peacock, I'm not seeing. It's like there's a part of me where I'm like, okay, what's your strategy here? And the only thing I can come up with is one. Recently, they basically essentially closed the WWE network and put it on Peacock.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And they've got The Office, which is extremely popular in streaming.
Right, and they are putting out new programming. It's very strange because a lot of their programming seems like it's like stuff from Britain. Like, as if it was like stuff that BBC made that hasn't been in America. And so everybody's got English accents, which I don't mind, but sometimes it's like, can't you make like some original programming from America or something like that? Or
well, The Office originally came from Britain, I think.
Right, no, I'm not talking about The Office stuff.
Yeah, other shows come from British television, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just weird because there's like...
Maybe that's to help fill the gap while we're waiting to get filming started again.
Maybe. They're
importing these shows from a couple of years ago.
Well, I mean, look, there were certainly, one of the things that hurt them was they were looking forward to being able to use their network for the Olympic coverage, and that was where they were really going to make a difference with things. Was they were gonna basically make that platform where if you wanted to see Olympics and you really were like that hardcore Olympic fan, Peacock was the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the Olympics didn't happen, that certainly kind of threw a wrench in some of the plans, and that's something where.
Yeah, but in spite of that, they still become a viable format to compete with Amazon and Paramount and even Netflix.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm a little surprised because it's like, I really was surprised because keep in mind, Peacock, we're talking NBC, we're talking Universal, we're talking Comcast.
Yep.
So to me, it's like, what is, why is it that Universal didn't consider some of the movies that maybe it had on its slate for 2020, the ones where it's like, well, maybe they're not going to make big money, sitting there and going, hey, you know what? Why don't we bring these out on Peacock and get some people, get some more bigger, and get some boosts of eyeballs. Unless the only thought is, well, we got the WWE network. And in fairness, that'll be a boost. That is a boost. I'm not gonna, I shouldn't sugarcoat that. That's a big size boost because for a while they had the WWE had their own thing on their own network. So it being now part of Peacock is kind of a bonus. I mean, so if you want the pay-per-views every month, all you got to do is just go pick it up live every month. So I guess there's an advantage that way. So they are getting some live programming out of it. I don't know.
But
yeah, that
perks
episode,
of Peacock.
Yeah, well, we only got there because you're talking about that, and then some of the other things that like I said, I don't know if you ever get around to it. They've got that new Saved by the Bell on there, and then they've got the Punky Brewster thing that I still haven't gotten through. But boy, is she great to look at! Holy cow! Wow.
How many episodes in you on it?
About 4.
Okay.
And it's funny because Freddie Prinze Jr. is in it too. Freddie Prinze Jr. plays like the ex-husband in it. But otherwise, they bring back pretty much everybody else except for what's his name, the guy who was like
the
Lassard.
The
old guy who I think wasn't he the same guy as Commodore Lassard? I think he might have been.
I think Punky. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
from Police Academy. Yeah.
Punky, let me introduce you to Mahoney. That should have been the crossover at some point.
Yes.
The Punky Brewster.
Yeah, the Police Academy Cinematic Universe with Punky Brewster as like a branch.
You know what? That would have been something if it was like in the future. It's like Punky Brewster works for the police department and she works for Mahoney. That would have been. I'm still convinced, by the way, that's something that Universal should be considering for one of those late night shows. Is bringing back like some level of the police.
If they go back full, like how like did with Super Troopers, totally non-PC.
Yeah,
that angle. I think they might.
I think that's the problem. Yeah. I think that's the problem. I think that's where they're fearful, and I don't know that they want that. I think they want to shy away from more of adult kind of content, unfortunately, because it seems like the Punky Brewsters and the Saved by the Bells and some. Although it's funny, there is some stuff on there that isn't exactly like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know one thing that was big for Peacock for a while was they were promoting the hell out of Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think they're filming that, as well as the prequel series.
Right, and I know they're filming some new Battlestar Galactica, too, for it.
I don't know. I think BSG has kind of had its course.
See, to me, what I laugh about is this. And here, we'll go into this. I'd love your perspective on this. Because, Universal has Transformers.
No, it's Paramount.
Is it Paramount?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, my bad. I'll shut up.
That's all right.
But, okay, I take that back.
That's Paramount DreamWorks. I thought was DreamWorks part of that? Yeah, DreamWorks Paramount was the first one, I think. Now just Paramount, I think.
Well, I mean, now that I think about it, I kind of laugh. I hate to tell you, if I was Peacock, I know what I would produce. You do realize that they have the solo rights for the Hulk.
I wonder why they never, touched on that. Maybe just they know they'd be up against some stiff competition with Marvel.
Well, I think they get money. I think they get a percentage on anything where they have the Hulk in all these Marvel movies, as long as it's not a Hulk movie, which is why, Universal was involved.
Yeah,
when they
John
did that.
Woo, yeah.
No, not even the John Woo. Even the
Edward Norton one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were involved in that too. They have to do an actual Hulk movie. They have to be involved because this is all the way back from the Bill Bixby days. They still have control.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The thing is, obviously the MCU's kind of hung up Bruce Banner. They're going to focus on She-Hulk. So.
Well, no, I thought he's supposed to be in that.
Maybe in a cameo, but I don't think Ruffalo's going to be in it at any large capacity.
I thought he was going to have a part in it, or at least some semblance of a part of it.
I know.
Because I don't know how you do She-Hulk without him being in it a little bit.
A little bit, maybe than the pilot, but that's it.
I think it's got to be a little bit more than just the pilot. I mean, I think you got to have a little bit more than him than just in the pilot. I think it's got to be a little bit more than that. I don't think. I mean, here, ready? I think the over/under on him being in is more than I saw of Don Cheadle and Falcon Winter Soldier.
Right. We thought we'd have seen more Don Cheadle because of the involvement with the government, but yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising. That really was. I got to tell you, especially because I'm convinced with Sharon Carter being the power broker that that's where we're going to get into Armor Wars later on. So it's interesting because it's like, that'll be interesting too. Now that I'm thinking about it, if that's how they get to Armor Wars, because it certainly seems like the right connection, right, Mike?
Yeah, I agree.
And if that's the case, and you're not going to have it where Sam and Bucky and U.S. Agent were kind of working with Rhodey. So here's the question to me. All right, what does Rhodey's supporting cast look like these days? Because, you're certainly not going to get Pepper Potts, so you're not going to get Gwyneth Paltrow.
You're not going to get Happy Hogan.
Probably not. Although maybe, you never know. He might. Well, that's an iffy. I mean, you're certainly not getting Spider-Man.
No, he's doing his own thing.
Right.
We'll get to Marvel later. Holy crap.
Right. But you're not going to get Spider-Man in a Disney Plus show.
Anything goes at this point.
Okay, but after the, I'm trying to think. I mean, the kids, the girl's too young. I mean, the only thing I can think of is
Morgan. Yeah, the kid. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is
the
kid from Iron Man. The kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, maybe the mechanic. Yeah, you're right. Good idea. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of who you pull in for supporting cast that isn't, because really, Rhodey's supporting cast is a lot of the Iron Man crew, and a lot of the Iron Man crew you don't have contract on. So
yeah, I think they've retired, semi-retired Gwyneth Paltrow's Pepper character after Endgame.
Yeah,
I don't think she'll be back. I mean, unless maybe, like I said, if in a few years, who knows? Maybe young Morgan Stark might. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know that they've talked. One of the shows that they've got coming up is Ironheart, which is the Riri Williams thing,
right?
Which is when she becomes Iron Man. So certainly, that's a possibility. But somehow you got to get there, and I mean, the only other thing I can think about is Thunderbolt Ross, because we certainly did, and I was surprised we didn't see him in Captain America.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, not Captain America.
Point. Isn't he still the Secretary of Defense? I think he was in Civil War.
Well, no, even
in Infinity War.
And even in Infinity War,
and then in Endgame, he was back in Endgame, but on the final scene at the funeral. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers: Tony dies.
But yeah, I mean, and honestly, I was kind of surprised we didn't see him in Falcon Winter Soldier at all.
Yeah.
Oh wait, did we see him in the first episode? No, we didn't. Right, we didn't see him there, did we?
What? Who? What?
We didn't see Thunderbolt Ross in the first episode.
No, I don't remember seeing Ross, but no, we didn't see Ross.
Right, I don't recall that at all. Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I'm just curious to see where they go,
No.
I don't know what a supporting cast looks like for Rhodey at this point. Maybe they'll surprise me and they'll throw out some people that I.
New cast of characters.
Well, it's interesting because it's like, all right.
Maybe some people from Alpha Flight? I don't know. Maybe they can use that to...
He's not... Is he an Alpha Flight guy? Not really.
No, well, kinda. Well, I don't know.
West Coast Avengers.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, West Coast Avengers is a possibility.
Yeah, but he's a DC guy. He's government guy, so he might be on East Coast. Rhodey, he's all...
Well, yeah, I mean, I just know in the comics he was a West Coast Avenger.
Oh, okay, all right.
In the comics he was a West Coast Avenger, so... keep in mind, Rhodey's time in the Iron Man, originally Rhodey's time in the Iron Man, well, that's the thing. I haven't read, okay, so that's my problem, is I haven't ever read a War Machine comic in my life. I will tell you that now. Yeah. But I did read at the time when Rhodey was subbing in for Tony Stark as Iron Man. And that's around the time of West Coast Avengers, which they've been using a lot, because they used a lot of West Coast Avengers in WandaVision. Okay? There was a lot from West Coast Avengers from back then. I'm trying to think of what else, but, he was in the, Tony Stark was not in Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars. It was actually James Rhodes.
He was Iron Man during your Secret Wars?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's an amazing sequence in the... So there's a... God, I can't remember what episode, what issue it is. But Doom gets annoyed, so basically he has Molecule Man drop an entire mountain on all the good guys. And the only reason that the mountain hasn't killed them all is that the Hulk is pretty much holding it up by himself. I think there's a cover like that too. And they basically cannibalize everything so that they can use Rhodey's armor to basically fire right through the mountain, which is really freaking amazing and cool. But they have to basically cannibalize the armor a little bit to be able to get the power and use some of the other stuff that they have capable, while Hulk's trying to hold up the whole freaking, mountain over that is practically going to kill him any second.
Let's see. Before we get to you, what else? I had a game night Saturday.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah,
What'd you play?
We watched. We played Mage Knight. This was a board game of a sort. Yeah, it is a board game, obviously, but it seemed a little overly complicated at first. But we got the gist of it, and we played on like a beginner level. I mean, this seems like there's a lot of machinations in there when you're playing, as far as like leveling up and defeating monsters and using mana tokens and crystals, and it seemed a little convoluted at first. But we got the hang of it, and it was fun. Had a good time with that. But
that's the one thing sometimes where I get frustrated on board games is the real board game lovers seem to really like these games with a lot of different moving parts and tokens and all
little
that kind of
tokens,
stuff.
the little cards you flip over, and little cardboard things you can flip back and
right.
Yeah,
and it's all about, and they all want added complexity to a point of where it's
almost you can't keep track.
Well, it's not a beer and pretzels game.
No.
And that's part of the problem with some of these games that they start putting out is it needs to be a little bit more beer and pretzels, but the audience seem to be in the minority on that, which is
the more complicated the better. It's like every turn is like a puzzle. Like I don't want the turn to be a puzzle. I just want to move, attack, and gain like XP. That's it. Why can't
oh my god. There are a few people who love to do that in some of the role-playing games that I play, where it's like, and now here's a puzzle. And I'm like, okay, can I roll anything to work on the puzzle? No. You have to actually
physically solve it. Like
we have to solve the puzzle.
Like Gollum gives you a puzzle, and you all got to figure it out yourself without rolling for dexterity or intelligence or any of that shit.
Right. It's like, what if your party's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm always that person when I get those things. I'm like, I'm not interested. I mean, because you've made it ridiculously complex and you've made it hard. You've made it difficult on purpose. And now you want me to sit around and do this. And it's like, some people love that garbage. I'm just not. Notice how I said that. Some people love that garbage. Because clearly I'm not one of them.
Some people love that garbage. I think we found our quote for the year, this episode.
Well, I mean, some people are thrilled. They love that stuff. I didn't play role-playing games so that I could figure out puzzles.
Just let me roll. Let's see if can I figure it out by rolling.
It's not even that. It's like, just because my character is smart doesn't mean I am. And so it's like, okay, now we're back to real life, Jeff, versus, I'm playing a role-playing game. This isn't a role-playing game anymore. This is me trying to do logic puzzles. I didn't sign up for logic puzzles. Stop it.
But that was fun, though. We had a good game night. As always, we enjoy our game nights.
Yeah.
For some people, that's our only outlet, because I know one of my coworkers, not my coworker, he's one of my friends. He doesn't have, like, other coworkers to talk to, and when he comes home, it's just him, his wife, and his daughter, and his dog. So this is his outlet. I mean, he's most adamant, and he gets the most miffed when we have to cancel. And last year, that's how we had our game nights in garages, so we didn't have to go indoors because all that. So, but anyway, it was fun. I don't think I had anything else last week. I busted out. It was nice. Had a nice day Sunday yesterday. Had a nice just.
So how does that work? Do you end up buying the games, or do they buy the games, or how does that work?
Usually it's between my two other cohorts, because I only have a couple of games here myself, and one actually, my one friend, he likes to go to half price books or he likes to go to eBay and buy them cheap because they're missing a couple pieces, and then he'll make the pieces himself. And so the one was colored in. It's like, okay, this will do.
Depending on the game, if that game still exists, he could go back to the manufacturer. They may still have parts.
You're right. He could, if he has the actual box, he could write and say, "Hey, I'm missing this, and this. Could you mail it to me?"
Yeah,
for like a couple bucks or something.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a couple of bucks.
You're right. If the game is not a print, you're right. We might be able to just replace. But he took some D6s and he colored them in because that's the color mana he needed for drawing cards. And
nice.
But yeah, he just fixes them himself. It's cheaper that way.
Oh no! Hey, look, I get it. Like when I played Axis and Allies and we were missing tokens or stuff like that, we'd make up shit as we went along. And, we'd figure out ways to do it when we didn't have anything.
Yeah, it's cheaper and more fun.
Yeah,
I did write a letter to the company.
Well, but you know what? So when I used to do all the stuff for, promotional stuff for Mayfair Games, because they had the Settlers of Catan license, they got requests like that all the time, where there were people who were like, "Hey, I'm missing a road, or this got lost. Can I get a road? Can I get a this? Can I get a that?" They got those requests all the time, and they would fill them.
Yeah, something to consider.
No, that's why. No, that's why I figured I'd mention it. Because
right, if the game isn't too old.
Right, if the game. And by the way, even if it's not too old, because some of those people are holding parts that they'd love to get rid of.
Right, they might have an incomplete game and they're piecing it out for money. Like if you could find extra pieces on eBay or something.
Well, I'll give you an example. So Mayfair Games, God, was it the 80s? No, it's got to be in the 90s. You know what? Yeah, it was in the 90s. It was the late 80s, early 90s. Mayfair Games was actually doing RPGs, and one of the RPGs that they did was the DC Heroes game. And I'll never forget. It was interesting. At one point they were selling them all out at Gen Con at ridiculously cheap prices, and half the reason I wanted this stuff was it was just good source material, just in general, even if I didn't use what they get. I didn't use the gaming system, but it was good for, to see certain things from a sourcing perspective.
Yeah, and some of it was a good read,
Yeah. A few years later, like I said, I'm working on them with them on a regular basis, and I was like, man, it's too bad you still don't have some of the, I can't remember how it came up, but he's like, we still have a lot of that stuff. You do? It's like, yeah, you want it? How much you got? There's like a crate. Yeah. There's a crate full of this stuff, and I'm like,
cool.
I don't want a crate. I don't want a crate. I mean, this is big. We're not talking a small crate. We're talking big crate. Like I don't know where I put this kind of crate. And I'm like, and it was funny because they ran a different game called Chill, and it was funny. They didn't have anything for Chill, and it was kind of like the best way to explain Chill's kind of like Cthulhu, except not nearly as harsh. But the funny part is it kind of came out around the same time as Cthulhu, so I think that's the reason why Chill lost. If you know what I mean.
If they were similar mechanics.
They were similar. Yeah. They were similar, and people seem to love the other one a little bit more. And that's when Mayfair got out of role playing games, because those were the two role playing games they started with. Was they had the DC Heroes license, and then they had Chill, and neither really materialized or went real well. But
okay,
that's the other reason I mentioned is it's possible some of these, depending on how old some of these games are, some of these places are still holding on to pieces. They'd love to. It's like, hey, oh my God, we could get rid of this? Yeah, sure, here.
Oh, neat.
Here you go. So, how much? Because they're buying all those games, huh?
Yeah, they buy the games. Yeah, I mean, we have a normal rotation, and my other friend of mine has a bunch of games that my other friend won't play because we're too long. I've got the Star Trek Ascension game, and that game is like a minimum of 3 hours, and we try and keep it concise. We start around 7:00 on Saturdays because I work until 6, so I run home and eat a bit of dinner, and then I'll change my shirt so I don't stink, and then I'll go over or they'll come here and game here. So we usually.
But you're a gamer. You're allowed to stink. That's the whole fun thing.
No, that's wrong. No.
What's wrong?
Only in public settings. Then you're allowed to be a sweaty nerd.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Yeah. With a couple of friends, it's different. But I've got some games that what are they? Gloomhaven. I know that's a really long game. So
I don't think I've ever even heard of Gloomhaven. No. The only reason I ask is because I know you guys play a lot of board games and
collectible card and not collectible card games, but deck building games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even so, I mean, what's that stuff run these days? What is it? I mean, on the low end, it's what, 50?
That depends. Yeah, it depends on the expansions and.
Oh yes, I didn't even get that far.
No. Because I only have a couple of games here that we use a couple times a year.
Yeah.
I got my Space Hulk game from the original from the early '90s from Games Workshop. Now they released it. They've made a couple of different editions, but they're not as good as the original. So, but now I let them buy the games.
Yeah, no, that was the only reason I asked. Is that stuff get,
Yeah, some of those can get expensive. You're right.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, absolutely. It's
It's that cardboard crack. I got my plastic crack. I got my robots. So.
Well, I always kind of laugh because it's it's, I used to make fun of all the Magic the Gathering people until I realized how much a freaking board game costs, and I'm like,
yeah, apparently
shit.
you know about this whole thing with Pokemon cards, I guess.
What? I must have missed it.
Because they've really clamped down, the stores have really clamped down on the purchasing of Pokemon cards, because apparently some YouTuber was bought some Pokemon cards, and he got the rare Charizard that's worth like $10,000 or something like that. So now everyone's lining up on Fridays to go to the stores to buy the Pokemon cards, and there's like limit one per customer. You got to use an email to get in line, and apparently in that and all the other like card games like Magic and whatnot. It's all about there's a huge demand for it right now. Then just more people, gaming from home and other or whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, I guess apparently the card games are really spiking in popularity. So they had issues with with hoarding and whatnot.
Yeah, no,
But no, you're right. There's some of the Magic the Gathering people. Yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah, although I've seen board game people who are that crazy. I mean, like where it's like, I've been to cons where it's like there's a giant wagon and they have like stacks upon stacks of board games on this like this cart, and like they're piled like ridiculously high in the air. I mean, they like the cart's piled as higher than the person, and it's all their board games, and I'm like, you're lugging that around Gen Con? Really?
Some people just say use their wagons or one of their backpacks or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's some people who really like lug around like it's like
because they can't decide what to play that afternoon, so just bring all of them.
Oh my God! Yeah, between that and the people who RPGs the same way, because it's like, oh my God, I got to bring every book. Do you really?
Just in case I encounter every monster from every book.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the one thing about having an ongoing where we have a campaign and we're at conventions, which is at least we kind of have a library of books so that nobody has to go run and like find the book. Although it's easier now because everything's so online.
Everything's on your phone. You can just put it all into Google Docs.
Yeah, and there's enough PDF stuff you can find out there.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, it used to be, it was like, okay, take the, I saw people, it looked like they were coming to America. Like with the amount of stuff that they were dragging, I'm like,
they're like refugees.
Yeah. No, I mean, it looked like, okay, when are you going to show up at Staten Island and like declare your name and like, holy cow. And to me, I just don't, I'm like, that's what I don't get as fun. I don't get it. I don't see it as fun when you got to lug like all your food and you got to lug like 50 different things for gaming, and you need this and you need that and you got to have this, and it's like, this stops being, suddenly it's like, hey, this is exercise. I didn't ask for exercise. I just want a game.
Yeah. What's that song from the Beatles? When your prized possessions start to weigh you down?
I guess. Yeah. Well, I just left because it's like, especially when they moved to Indy. Gen Con got huge when they moved to Indy. So it's like, that's a lot of walking. So now it's a lot of walking and you're bringing all this stuff with you. And it's like, oh my God. You're like, oh man. It's like.
I had a couple of people like that when we were at the Kane County show last weekend, 2 weekends ago. There's one guy pulling a wagon.
Yeah.
A couple of people, actually, pulling wagons. Not just strollers with kids in them, but they had wagons with, larger toys that they find. So people do that, too, like at the flea markets, that we don't have to carry it all.
Yeah.
Now, the kids can sit in them, too, when they got their kids with them. So, that's about for
but night. But, you've seen it the other way, too, where it's like, no, you can't sit in there. That's where I'm putting the...
You're carrying all that stuff. Get out of there.
Carrying all that stuff. Get out of there, you little brat. Just sit there and watch. Oh, God.
So let's see. Yeah, what do we got with news this week? No.
Well, wait, no. So I caught a couple of things.
Oh, you did watch some stuff. Okay.
I did get a chance to catch a couple of things.
All right.
So I guess Xfinity has this watch-a-thon thing that I missed most of, but for some strange reason, and I don't know why, Hulu had a original movie called Palm Springs, and it's with Andy Samberg. Ironically, I must be on a J.K. Simmons kick, because J.K. Simmons is in there, and I can't remember who. Oh, you know who else is in there? The new Superman guy, Tyler Hoechlin, and the girl who plays Veronica on Riverdale. She was in there too.
Okay.
So the best way I can explain this, so it's called Palm Springs. And the only way I can explain it is, imagine if someone said to you, hey, we should do our own version of Groundhog Day, and we should let Andy Samberg write it.
Is he still on? They still have that show Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or is that?
I think that just ended. But,
okay.
But it's like, okay, basically it's like Andy Samberg decided to make his own version in some way, shape, or form of Groundhog Day. Because that's really what it is. Except it's more fucked up and more weird, and, it's, more of the comedic stuff from Andy Samberg. I don't know, I just wasn't. It was one of those where I'm like, I'm watching this because I want to see what happens. And how dumb this gets. Because it wasn't exactly great. There were moments of humorous, but literally it was like he ripped off Groundhog Day and just made his own thing. His own bad version of Groundhog Day. That's the best way I can describe it. And then I saw the John Clancy, Michael B. Jordan thing on Amazon Prime.
What was the name of that?
Without Remorse. I think it's Without Remorse, I think is what it is. It's the new one. It's they've been Amazon's promoting it, where it's like,
so is Michael B. Jordan's the new Jack Ryan?
No, he's not Jack Ryan.
He's another character other than him?
He's in another character entirely.
Oh, okay.
And the connection comes from, and I had heard about this too, which I didn't realize this is where they were going with it. The connection is that the connection between the universes is that the woman is Karen Greer, which is what would be, I guess I don't know if it's James Earl Jones' granddaughter's character or who it, how the relation is, but that's the connection. Is that, so Greer's the guy who Jack Ryan would work with on a regular basis, he worked with, and that was the best way to put it is that's the James Earl Jones character in the movies with Harrison Ford.
Right.
So she's related.
Eric Barron.
So she's related to him somehow.
Okay.
So really, that's the connection to the Jack Ryan stuff. And now again, how do I put this? I'm like, wow, Michael B. Jordan. It can't be a bad movie. I've yet to see a bad movie with Michael B. Jordan. I stand corrected.
Until now. Womp, womp.
Until now. I mean, look, it's definitely got some action, but it's very paint by numbers. It's very kind of in some ways, kind of what you expect from Tom Clancy, and then a Tom Clancy kind of movie, and then it's funny because when it tries to go for the twist, it's like, I don't even get what the point of the big bad was and how that's really a real big bad, and they spend a lot more time on Michael B. Jordan's character, obviously, when really in reality, I mean, the real link to whatever they're doing is this Karen Greer character. So it's kind of weird because it's like, okay, the main character should be Karen Greer, and yet it's not. It's this John Kelly character that's being done by Michael B. Jordan. If you understand what I mean. So it's like, it's weird because, it moves the focal point away, if you know what I mean. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody not to watch it. I just didn't find it all that. I mean, And the way they have Michael B. Jordan's character, I was kind of waiting for him to be like, get off my plane.
Right from Harrison's Air Force One.
And I know that's not a Tom Clancy thing, but I mean that's kind of how it felt. Is the best way to put it. So I wasn't too thrilled with that either. The one thing I was thrilled about was I caught the final episode of Invincible, and that was spectacular.
Yeah, that's what I hear. It was good.
That was spectacular. I enjoyed the hell out of that. That's a great episode. That's a great series. My understanding is it's now been renewed for seasons 2 and 3.
So for those not watching Invincible, what's the synopsis of season 1? I mean, as Invincible is the young guy, and I know Omni-Man, who looks like J. Jonah Jameson, is voiced by J.K. Simmons, who is J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. In
the Spider-Man universe. So what's the relation here? What's going on between these?
So the long and the short of it is that Mark Grayson is the kid, and he's a senior. I believe he's either a junior or senior in high school, and his father is Omni-Man, the most powerful superhero on the planet, and there's this thought that he wasn't going to have that. Everybody kind of thought he wasn't going to get. His father didn't think he was going to get his powers, and then suddenly, as he got older, now the powers kick in. And so part of it is, him kind of trying to figure out how to do the superhero thing while being a teenager and, that whole legacy kind of thing in terms of, I'm Omni-Man's kid, that kind of thing. So there's that kind of aspect to it. Where the twist comes, see, the problem is I don't want to give away the twist.
All right, then don't give away the twist. But what's the...
Well, there is a twist.
Okay.
There is a twist in regards to all of that. And if you haven't read it, it's a big one. And I don't know that a lot of people will see it coming. Well, let me phrase that. If you watch the first episodes, immediately something's amiss. But I don't really want to give away too much without rooting things. But eventually things have to come to a head with that. And so...
So there's Bash Pal fighting superhero action, Biff Pow, bam.
Right, and there's a lot of introduction of other characters, where they kind of spoof other characters and whatnot from that. And, there's some definite development, and there are other bad guy characters within that we get to meet. Some of them, were dealt with right away, others not so much. There's the one episode where he goes to Mars and he fucks that up. I told you about the one guy who was played by Seth Rogen, who shows up and he's supposed to be testing the defender of a planet, and it turns out he's had the planet's name wrong for like 20 years.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
So, ironically, he comes back in the final episode, and they have a pretty good conversation, which was pretty cool.
So season 1 is this is on
Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Now I will say this: it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I've seen some clips on YouTube, and it's ultra violent.
It's real violent, and it's real gory at places. If you're squeamish, this is not the show.
Yeah.
If you got kids, this is probably not the show for them. It's definitely an R-rated show. Without question.
Because the violence is no titties. Just
we don't get titties.
Okay.
We do get some sexual situations at times.
Right.
But nothing like
overt.
where they show, and nothing like they show anything really.
Right.
But there's a few times where things. I know there's conversations about stuff where it was like there's the one girl that Adam Eve is going out with one of the guys on this team that she's on for a little bit, and she catches that he was in the shower with Duplicate, both versions of Duplicate. And they kind of show it, but they don't really show anything, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just an example, but
okay. So I'm glad you're liking it.
Oh no, it's a high recommend. I mean, if you like superhero stuff and you're okay with animation, and the nice part is it's really not the animation. It's more of it really does look like it came from the 90s and early 2000s comics. It doesn't look like a Japan product.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like doesn't have those anime tropes.
Nope.
From what I've seen. I mean, it's drawn like a Western comic book.
Well, and the best way I can put it is, if you've ever seen Image Comics, you can tell this looks like somebody, like the artist 3 was from Image, somebody who did Image Comics.
All right, neat.
But again, the other thing is too, this is Robert Kirkman signed that big deal with Amazon 3 years ago, and now we're finally seeing the first piece of anything that Kirkman has done for Amazon, and this is it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that it's that good, because, this is the first release the first Amazon release for Kirkman. I'm not shocked or surprised that it was this good, because it had to be, especially if it's your first release with the new company.
You gotta go out swinging.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
And I think that's the interesting part. We're going to start seeing, we're starting to start seeing finally, there was that huge swath of deals back in 2018 where it was Kirkman did one with Amazon, and Mark Miller did one, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but Mark Miller did one with Netflix. And then Shonda Rhimes ended up over at Netflix too. It was funny because Shonda Rhimes got out first with the Bridgerton thing. Okay? And now we've got Invincible. And then by the time this airs, coming into the weekend is Jupiter's Legacy from Mark Miller. And that'll be a new Netflix release for the weekend. I don't know if I'll have time to check it out. I think it's a series. I don't think it's a movie. But that's the big release from Mark Miller. And to make it clear, Mark Miller's the guy who did Kick-Ass and Wanted. And that's the guy who created Civil War. He's written a ton of Superman. He's written a ton of Spider-Man. And Kingsman. Kingsman, what am I thinking? Kingsman 2. Those are all his. And he's got a lot more where that came from. So it'll be interesting to see. So yeah, Jupiter's Legacy will be interesting to see.
Okay, neat. Yeah, that is, more superhero stuff. I'm all for it.
Well, the nice part is I know you have Netflix, so that's probably something I don't know if I'm going to get to it all this weekend, but that's maybe a binge.
Are they dropping a season, or is it one a week?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We'll find out.
I guess we're going to find out. I guess we'll find out. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's this week is Jupiter's Legacy, and that's... Now, I'll be honest, I don't know much more about it beyond the fact that it's Mark Miller. But Mark Miller has done enough great work that I'm willing to take a risk on it. I mean, it can't be worse. I don't know. After the first episode of Umbrella Academy season 2, I can't seem to get back into that thing.
Okay.
I'm just not. Have you seen season 2 yet, or no?
Season 2. I'm sorry. What? Season 2
of Umbrella Academy?
No, I haven't watched any of that.
Okay. I can live with season 1. I still feel like the best person in season 1 is the music. I had a feeling they were going to go Groundhog Day. They were going to go back and reset the whole concept again, and I'm like, not again. Come on, stop it.
Yeah, I've not watched any of Umbrella Academy. Although we did get a teaser trailer for season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, I think it was about a week ago.
Oh, really? I missed that. That was good. I'll have to definitely check that out.
Jeff, I'm sorry, but I have to pause the podcast. Okay. There's something I need to take care of upstairs.
Okay.
I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm pausing. Pausing now. Pausing. Edit point. Pausing.
Oh, yeah, welcome to my world. Welcome to my world.
Yep.
I want to watch Big Shots.
I used the voice thing on Comcast, but I need to log in. No, you need to use the TV remote and scroll all the way to the right. Well, how do I do that? You hit the button. It looks like a house. Then you scroll all the way to the right. Use the directional. You know what the D-pad is?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
We are right. We are. Maybe I'll leave this in. I don't know.
Yeah, you should leave this in. This is good stuff.
Okay.
No, I hear you 100%. Which is by the way, I guess here's amusing. So Disney Plus is now available on Xfinity, but you have to upgrade your box to do it.
Oh.
Supposedly it's free, but you got to upgrade the box, and it's like if you've got a whole bunch of stuff recorded on your box that you wanted to keep, then it's like, oh, that's not going to happen. When are they going to create a cloud version for that? You'd think by now they'd have figured that one out. But they didn't. They haven't. They really haven't figured that one out at all. You'd think they would. You'd think that they would figure out that you could do a cloud. No, I know why. Because there's people who have 3,000 hours on their DVR.
Right.
Or something insane like that.
I have a shared DVR, so
Me
we're
too.
far from getting filled up. Because we have two TVs, and the downstairs one just has a little box, which is pretty much the receiver. But it's the big box upstairs that has all the memory, all the rememberies. Oh well.
Well, we have DVR. We have recordable DVRs in both rooms.
Oh, okay.
So it's funny because it's sometimes I'll find a whole boatload of stuff because someone was watching in the middle of the night. The person who watches QVC far too much, and I'll give you a hint, it's not me.
No.
Or, hey, this infomercial looked interesting. I want you to know I don't want to watch this infomercial. Go away. Why did you tape this? It's like Dr. Oz says, I don't care what Dr. Oz says. Dr. Oz is a quack. Stop it.
Watch anything else?
I did watch that Big Shot series on Disney Plus. The one that's kind of more aimed for kids with Stamos, where he's teaching basketball to high school kids. It's cute. It's decent. It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad. I mean, I can't remember. I saw somebody who was listed as a writer on it. Oh, I know what it was. David Kelly. David Kelly's a writer on it. That's why. Oh, that's the other stuff I should probably mention. So Big Sky continues to be crazy. I'm convinced that again, Big Sky is the answer to all my reasons why I will not move to some places in the middle of nowhere in a cabin. It really is. It's my answer. Have you seen Big Sky? And everybody's like, it's not like that. Oh, really?
It's not like Deliverance?
Yeah, really. No, it's a bad idea. No, not being anywhere near civilization. Wow, that sounds cool. No, that doesn't sound cool because there are crazy truckers and weird shit that goes on.
Yeah, what was that one movie with Kurt Russell and that one guy who was the bad guy in everything? Who was the evil trucker?
Oh, the dog.
He was the Donut King or something like that, and they thought he had money.
Oh, maybe that's different.
One where
I thought you were talking about the one about where there was the trucker who kept trying to run those people off the road. I can't remember the name of it.
That might have been part of that, but they kind of they kidnapped the wife, I think. Anyway, but it was from some years ago. But that was pretty good, actually. I saw it in the theater. I forget the name of that film. I'd have to look it up.
Oh, anyway. It could be that because what I'm thinking about it didn't look very good, and I don't think it went very well. The only other thing I saw was Legends of Tomorrow's season started, and I'm willing to give it a shot.
Breakdown. That was the movie. It was Breakdown.
Was it Breakdown? Okay. Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. You said Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah. So Legends of Tomorrow started their new season.
Okay.
And it looks like they're going to be dealing more with aliens, and I guess I'll sit there and I'll spoil some of it, which is so basically Sarah Lance gets pulled into space and so now the rest of the Legends have to go get her. And apparently Gary, who's the dweeby character who's been Constantine's assistant, has been an alien all this time, which I'm kind of like, really? Why do you have to do that? I mean, the character was interesting. I enjoyed Gary. I'm not sure why you needed to like sit there and say, it's like, oh, now I'm sure there are people whose reaction is, oh, now it all makes sense.
No, there's some TV shows like in, what season is this Legends of Tomorrow? Is it season 5?
Really? I think it's more than that.
Season 6 or 7? I don't know.
I think they're up to 6.
It's like they've changed when you fundamentally change a character later in the show like this. It's just like how they made Julian Bashir on DS9. They made him genetically enhanced later in season 6 or something like that.
Gary's been a more recent add. I mean, that's part of the problem that I'm having with Legends of Tomorrow as well, which is I'm not against them bringing in characters that they create for the show specifically. However, we're slowly but surely losing a lot of either A, the original Arrowverse heroes that were originally part of this team, or B, they're not being replaced by people who are, the best way to put it is, they're not DC Comics characters. They're characters that they're creating on their own.
They're original characters, not from the comics.
Right, and it's okay when you replace one or two. When it starts to get to the point where it's like you're continuing to basically replace these characters with characters that aren't really connected to either the Arrowverse or DC Comics, I'm like, okay, I don't know that I don't know how much I care is my problem. It's like I'm losing some of the connections. Like, they lost, what's his name? They lost Brandon Ralph, who was playing Ray Palmer. They lost, I mean, I understand that you needed, you decided to get rid of the Firestorm character because you couldn't afford what's his name, and then there's no reason to have the other kid who was playing the other half, who wasn't Ronnie Raymond. I can't remember his name. And now it sounds like this might be the last season for Mick Rory. We lost.
Do you know if this show is still renewed for another season?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
It is. It's well, because of the pandemic. I think they renewed pretty much all their shows except for like Supergirl and Black Lightning, and those they decided that these would be the final seasons for that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think there's opportunities for them to bring in interesting characters who, it's funny, I was having this conversation with John Suntress from Word Balloon. He's like, well, but you don't know who's got what in development where they may be working on something. It's like, I get certain characters you can't touch. I get that. But it's like, really? Jonah Hex? You really think anybody's doing anything developing Jonah Hex right now?
Yeah, they had that one, the Josh Brolin movie, and that was it.
Right, and they've had Jonah Hex on the show a few times. It's like, you could have Jonah Hex. I mean, we have Constantine now. By the way, that's the other problem I'm having, is I like John Constantine, and I like the guy who plays it. I can't remember his name, the guy who was originally in the show. But I feel like he's taken the show another direction, that it's not nearly as fun as it used to be, if you know what I mean, with him in it. Because he's the brooding, mystical, occult guy, and it's like... Right, yeah, he
played a big part in Apocalypse War, the latest, one of the later, more recent DC animated films.
Oh, yeah, there's that. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, the point being is I just don't... I feel like that's the season where they kind of went an interesting direction. I feel like the best season that they had was that season where they did the whole Legion of Doom thing. And that was probably their best, maybe one of their better seasons was that one. And I feel like some of them, it's like, it's fun enough that I'm willing to continue to watch and give them some time to see where this goes. But there's another part of me where I'm like I told you, I'm kind of done with Flash. I really am. I have Black Lightning sitting on the DVR because I just don't seem to care about that. And, the only one that I'm really kind of watching, and of the previous shows right now where I'm actually finding interesting is Supergirl. That's it.
And this is the last hurrah for that one. So
right, and that's the last hurrah. And Black Lightning, again, is the last hurrah. And I'm sorry, and I dropped Batwoman a while ago because I'm like, this is ridiculous. And like I said, you know me, I'm a DC Comics fan, and I'm just kind of like sitting here going, yeah, I'm not feeling it. And yes, I'm not feeling some of the directions they're going for future shows
they're detracting too far from the source material.
Well, and I'm not really feeling some of the directions they've decided to go for some of the new shows that they're going to build. Like, they're building out one of the characters that Bendis created that's a brand new character. They're using this future state thing to bring in a new Wonder Woman that they're talking about, or Wonder Girl, I should say, for CW. And then they're trying to spin off Painkiller off of Black Lightning. Those are the shows they're talking about.
Yeah, and I still got to finish season 1 of Stargirl. I got the last 2 episodes on the HBO Max. I think it's in there. It's in there. I can find it.
Well, and I got to tell you, there's rumblings. Now, again, it's interesting. There's rumblings, too, about the fact that Stargirl has not been picked up for a season 3. That Stargirl has not been picked up for a season 3.
But they are filming season 2.
Right, they're filming season 2, but it doesn't sound like there might be a possibility there's not a season 3. And between me and you, I have I wonder about one thing about that, which is, the girl who plays Dr. Midnight made a big brouhaha about certain things on the set with Jeff Johns. Okay, who basically is essentially the reason that Stargirl show works. Okay, but she made a big stink about that around the same time that what's his name was making made his big stink about everything that happened on Justice League.
Oh, Ray Fisher, yeah.
Ray Fisher, and that stuff hasn't stopped. I thought at least when the movie was over, some of this would die down, and he's going full throttle. And that girl from the Stargirl show had no problem speaking up about this stuff either. And I just wonder, with Ray Fisher putting that much heat on DC and Warner Brothers, and here comes Jeff Johns producing another TV show. I just wonder if there aren't execs who are sitting there going, can we really afford a season 3?
Yeah, speaking of wonders, we also the status of season 3 Titans. If that's still going through or not.
It is. It's just been slow. It is because I've seen pictures of stuff. They've shown stills of pictures of people for that.
Filming scenes.
Now it seems just like people in costumes, like
promotional stills.
Yeah, promotional stills of like Blackfire, and there was a still of Starfire that everybody was like, well, why didn't you have this costume in the first place? None of us would have bitched.
Exactly.
None of us would have bitched.
There was when we saw that first scene where she's in this coat and the hair, we're like, oh, that doesn't look like her. But this one does, so they're fixing it. They just, it's all about part of the journey, I guess.
Well, and I guess that's the thought process, and like I said, I don't know. I've read some of the premise about some of the direction they're going for season 3, and I'm nervous. I mean, I don't know how much you've caught about it.
I've had known what they were going to do in season 2, but I would have been nervous about that. But I was mostly satisfied with season 2.
It sounds like they're really going to. I mean, my understanding is they're really going to move into some of this Batman stuff in season 3. Like, my understanding is like Two-Face is supposed to be a major player in season 3. Which I'm kind of like, why? Why is Two-Face? I guess the part where I kind of get,
because that way it can be low. It can be low budget that way.
I guess maybe,
and not have a super villain like like someone along the scale of something that would contend with Superboy. It costs money. That's why you only had Beast Boy turn into a tiger. Maybe it was a snake once, and then it was tiger like 10 times the whole show.
I really just wish that HBO Max would put some money into that show.
Yeah.
The sad part is unfortunately, I have a feeling that they don't. The problem is they won't do the promotion they need to on that show. And the reason they won't do the promotion they need to on that show is because the masses don't really know who the Titans are.
Well, that's why they're dipping into Batman's rogues gallery, because everyone knows Batman.
It's just dumb though, because there are entire generations now who grew up on those Teen Titans cartoons.
Yeah, and use some of them. Use some of them villains.
Well, it's not even that.
Dip into that pool.
There's villains that you can legitimately use that are Titans villains.
Mm-hmm. But instead,
granted, there are some villains you can't touch because, the Doom Patrols, you've got the Doom Patrol. So it's not like you can use Brain and Monster Mala because they're probably over in Doom Patrol. And I've still yet to watch either season of Doom Patrol. But Brother Blood, there's no reason, and you don't need big budget to do Brother Blood.
No.
Because he's a cult.
Right, yeah. I think you just have to buy a bunch of robes. and some poor lighting, which is a mainstay of most streaming superhero television.
And here, here, make a pool full of ketchup to make it look like blood. Like blood.
There's a ketchup.
You're not talking. Well.
I know, I hear you, but they want to cling to the familiar, which is why we had like Bruce Wayne as inside Dick Grayson's head for 2 seasons.
Well, and I think he's still going to be a part of the show.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's frustrating because it's like I really wish they would look at this from the perspective of this comic has been around for 40 years now. That it had an audience. At the time, it rivaled the X-Men in terms of audience. Yes, they went on. The difference is Marvel took the time and the risk to go out and put out an X-Men movie. And DC sat there and said, nope, we don't think we can sell this. And the irony is, they went and put all these cartoons out on Cartoon Network, and they're still the most popular cartoons on Cartoon Network.
It's on like every half hour for
and they've been doing that, and they've been doing it since the 2000s. So it's like we're not talking about like kids don't know who it is.
Yeah, but this isn't a kid's show, though.
Right, but
the kids who grew up watching Teen Titans, the first animated series, now their kids are watching Teen Titans Go.
Possibly, possibly, and that's kind of what I mean. Is you've got enough audience where you can make this work. You just do, and it's funny because we'll get into it in a second, which is. Meanwhile, though, we know where they're going to put the budget. They're going to put the budget on they're trying to develop this Green Lantern show.
Because that needs budget.
Well, because that's going to need budget.
Yep.
And that's what I kind of laugh about. It's like, but she'll put a whole shitload of money on a Green Lantern show, okay, not this Titan show.
Because it still does have, they still can't get the stink off of that Ryan Reynolds.
Well, and it's interesting, too. I don't know if you saw. So they announced that they're casting someone to play Guy Gardner. It doesn't sound like we're going to get Hal Jordan.
No, we're not. I thought all these years I thought we were going to get a Jon Stewart, but I guess we're going with Gardner.
Well, and in the comics, I guess. So again, this is a part where I haven't read the comics for a while, but so Jessica Cruz, I guess, is the current.
She's the current GL. Yeah,
is really kind of technically the current GL, is my understanding.
Yep.
Again. I'll be honest, I haven't paid enough attention. But supposedly, you would know better than me because there's certain movie cartoons where she's the primary. Now. Yeah,
they did do one like about a year ago, almost a year and a half ago, where Jessica Cruz was the current Green Lantern along with They did it in the Bruce Timm, like, Warner Brothers animated series, and they had, like, the voice cast back, as Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman, all those voice actors from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, where they had introduced Jessica Cruz, and they fought, I think, what's it,
I feel like I saw that one.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I didn't remember it being that great.
It was all right.
But yeah, I mean, the point being is, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm thrilled that we're going to get I'm curious to see how willing they are to go over the top with Guy Gardner. I mean, Guy Gardner is the most un-PC character in the DC universe.
Maybe that's the angle they want to go with.
I mean, Guy Gardner is a rough, tough dude, but at the same time, Guy Gardner is the most non-PC character you can imagine. And I don't know how you pull that off in this day and age, unless you're really going to tone him down quite a bit. And he's definitely the gun-toting guy that if you can get there. That's who Guy Gardner is. I mean, Guy Gardner is one of those, Guy Gardner back in the 90s was like, yeah, America. I mean, he wasn't that bad, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
He was all about red, white, and blue and baseball, mom, and apple pie, and all that kind of stuff. And in that way. And it's kind of funny because, initially it's funny because back in the day, it's Superman and Guy Gardner be like, Superman, yes, sir, sir. And then after a while, I got to know Guy Gardner, got to know Superman. Like, Superman, too much of a pussy.
Yeah.
I mean that guys, they're very different than Hal Jordan. But
there's quite a lot going on. That's the thing, though. There's a lot going on with DC in television, and not so much in movies. That's always been our premise. Probably the length of this show. DC's always been active with their television shows, and they show after show after show. Some of them come quick, and some live fast and die hard, and some of them are still around. Some of them die out. Some of them live long enough to be the villain.
Well, I mean, here's the interesting thing. I understand there was a pandemic. To me, I think what's interesting is you're going to start to have a lot of these Arrowverse alumni who are interesting characters that you could move around to different shows. Now, I understand there was a pandemic, so we're not seeing maybe some of the characters from Arrow show up in other places. Okay? Very much. But to me, I kind of laugh because I'm like, how do I put this? I'm kind of like, well, why couldn't we have some of these characters show up in different places, like Legends of Tomorrow?
Or
why
like just the Crisis finale teased a bit of a Justice League, some kind of like of a assembly
that
of
seems
a
like
League of Sorts. And they never went back to that.
Well, and the reason is, while they sit there and they admit that we all love the crossovers and they make a lot of money and the fans love them, they can't stand doing them. They can't stand doing them, and the other problem becomes, like, for example, okay, now you're going to not have Black Lightning, you're not going to have Supergirl. Well, okay, congratulations. Those are two of the people who are supposedly in this Justice League of sorts, and now they're not going to be a part of it. And so it's like, okay, how do you plan on explaining that? Unless you're planning on bringing them back for cameos. I don't know. I mean, that's possible. But again, I don't know. This is part of the problem that has gotten that once upon a time, it seemed like at the beginning they were more willing to have some of these shows cross over at times. And now it's like, yeah, that's too much of a pain in the butt. And it's like, that's a problem. Like, it's funny. Like, although I will say, it was funny because at the beginning of Legends, they want to go contact the DEO, which handles space aliens, and they realized that there was an issue. There was something that happened to the DEO, and the DEO is out of commission at the moment, and that's something that did happen in Supergirl recently. So I at least give them that credit a little bit for some continuity. And I understand that some of this is the pandemic, Mike, but it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, there's stuff going on in your universe, and you would think there'd be more crossover because of the things that are going on, and yet nobody's crossing over. Or there isn't enough acknowledgement between the shows about things that are going on in other places.
Yeah, they're happy with just all these shows generating ad revenue and making money that way instead of having the big events that might gain more popularity and might bring a lot of new viewership in, a lot of normies who are like, yeah, Justice League, all right.
I wonder, too, how much some of this is, like, for example, I know Arrow, now in fairness, I haven't seen any of the other shows doing this, but I know Arrow is on TNT. And I'm kind of surprised because I would think by now the Flash could go into, like, one of those networks or something along those lines. And I haven't seen it yet, if you know what I mean. But the point I'm getting at is I wonder if some of this is for the purpose of being able easier to sell things from a syndication or to another cable network purpose.
Well, yeah, it's all about the money, and I guess there's less money to be made when you're making these big budget events where you have less footage of ad revenue. I think that's what it comes down to.
Well, or like, for example, like here's a perfect example. Okay, so let's say I'm watching Arrow on TNT, okay, and one of the episodes is a crossover episode. Well, now I have to go find all these other episodes that I don't have access to because TNT doesn't have them. If you understand what I'm getting at. And I wonder if that's a driving factor. It shouldn't be. We're not even seeing like drop-ins here or there once in a while anymore either. Or even acknowledgments of stuff that's going on in other places as much. I don't know. It's starting to remind me of what we saw from the Netflix Marvel shows and the MCU, where they seem disconnected from each other now. Except the irony is you created the CW verse, and the irony is they're all now even more disconnected than they were before.
Yeah. Right. They just like to do their own thing.
Yeah. And that just seems...
Have a cookie-cutter storyline, have maybe one arc per season, and just have the one, villain of the week or monster of the week or whatever that the hero can defeat. And that's, like I said, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
They don't want to invest into a big crossover event.
Or they don't even want to do like a guest starring thing where it's like, okay, here's a short crossover. Let's have
There's like this one little team up,
Yeah, like where it's like, okay, this episode that's happening in Supergirl, this episode that's happening in The Flash. They're not even, and again, in fairness, some of this has to do with the pandemic. So I can't fault them fully for it. But there is a part of me where I'm just like, this was going on before the pandemic though too. So
But you're still, for the most part, hooked into the CW-verse.
Well, only 2 shows. Let me phrase that. 2 shows at the moment.
Currently, because there aren't any new episodes.
2 shows because I'm watching Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow. But I'm pretty much ready to dub Flash. And my DVR's filling up with Black Lightning because the only reason it's filling up with Black Lightning is it's like, well, it is the final season and I'd like to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, when it's out, you can binge it and just be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, in theory, that's true. I mean, and that's the sad part, is I could go that direction instead and be like, hey, you know what? I could just binge it and not have to worry about it and figure it out later. And that's a good point. And that might be what I end up doing because, yeah, I'm certainly not, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not, I'm not feeling it. And by the way, that's the other thing I laugh about. I have no idea how Superman and Lois fits into the CW verse. Not at all.
No, they're doing their own thing in Smallville, so who cares? They're doing
Right, but I'm curious, and the thing I keep hearing is, it's the pandemic. Great, it's the pandemic. I don't know how even after the pandemic this works. I don't think it does. Based on what they're doing on the Superman and Lois show, I don't see how that works, and that's too bad. Because one of the cool things about the CW verse was, okay, these shows have an interconnected universe.
Right.
And in fairness, they were doing it at the same time Marvel was doing what they were doing, except they were doing it on TV. And now they seem to be moving away from it. I don't get it. I just don't. You know,
well, we'll see where things are in a year if they start even plan another big event.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, now would be the time if they were going to tease something or announce something. It's not almost like, well, maybe if once we get, although they still have those fan events online. I mean, Pulse is doing that for Hasbro like every week, just reveals or whatnot. If DC wants to do something like that, I finally followed them on YouTube, and they sometimes put some interesting stuff up there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of, Mike, is maybe, I mean, I know that they've talked about that they're going to put out new content for HBO Max, including movies, specifically for Max. And we know that they're doing this Green Lantern series, and then they're doing that Peacemaker series based on what's going to happen with
Suicide Squad 2.
Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad movie. So we know that they're doing that, which is going to feature John Cena. Which, by the way, if that works out at all, we're never seeing John Cena in the WWE again.
No.
I mean, we're close to it now. We're real close to it now. About we're not going to see John Cena back for a real long time. But if this,
nowadays especially with the Fast and Furious.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that either. Boy.
Yeah.
If this Suicide Squad thing works at all, and the Peacemaker show works well enough, combined with what's going on with Fast 9, I guess here's my question to you: what's the over/under on how fast John Cena becomes the number 2 entertainer in the world behind The Rock?
It could be. If he has his legs in the DC and another, the other franchise, like the Fast, I don't know if it'd be, I don't know. Yeah, sure.
I mean,
why not?
It's something that
and he's doing hefty commercials. He can, number 1 spokesman for hefty commercials.
Right, and he's doing
after Tom Bosley.
Right. Well, and he does those whatchamacallit commercials too for the what was it? Pistachios? Is it?
I don't know.
He plays the elephant character?
He plays the elephant character. I have to IMDb John Cena for the.
But the point being is he slowly but surely put the resume together.
Yeah, that Bumblebee movie was was a big step for him too. So. And
I'm not positive he's not coming back for a Transformer movie.
You never know. I mean, they're talking of a sequel, and now they call it. I don't know. A lot of fans called it the Knightverse because Travis Knight directed Bumblebee, and he's not directing in the second one, whatever the sixth one we're getting. And
did you see there's some sort of news about an actress that they brought in for the next one?
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know if you saw
cool.
that.
That's cool. More words? I don't know if we got a release date for that film sometime next year for the Transformers 6. Or Transformers, no, it would be Transformers 7. After 6 would be Bumblebee, and then 7 is whatever this was. But it's not, they're not interconnected. I don't even know if this is going to be connected to the Bumblebee film. Oh, well.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah, good news. We're getting another actress to be a human character in a Transformers movie. And, we could use more of those, I guess.
See, I know you're annoyed by that, because it's like, why do we have to have humans?
I'm not so much annoyed as most people are. It's like, it's a Transformers movie. Why humans? Humans are dumb. Well.
Yeah. Well, the problem that they don't understand is that that's what draws the normies.
Yeah, right. That's why we got, that's why the 2007 movie was so huge. We got Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox doing their thing.
And Josh Duhamel.
Josh Duhamel and
Anthony Anderson was good in that movie.
Yeah, I liked the computer hacker dude. That's an in joke in my family when it says I ate the whole plate. They put the donuts out to test your guilt. I ate the whole plate.
Or what's his name? I can't remember the one guy who's in there, who's in all of them. Who's I can't remember the actor's name.
Huh.
He's in Rounders.
Oh, Tyrese Gibson.
No, white guy.
Oh,
the white guy who's the big,
Agent Simmons, yeah.
Agent Simmons. The guy who's in Rounders. He's in Rounders and he's in Barton Fink.
Yeah, he's on the end of my. He was in Quiz Show. He's good in that.
Yeah, the guy who's like, one man.
No, alone. Betrayed by the country he loves.
Yeah, you're not alone. I'm in the car with you. That's
Agent Simmons. I can't remember. Damn it. He's on the end. John Turturro. John Turturro.
Yeah, there you go. He's great.
Yeah.
By the way, that's probably my favorite. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the whole series. One man alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. You keep saying you're alone. You're not alone. I'm sitting right here.
Mm-hmm. I'm in the car with you.
Right here.
Yeah, that's what we get when we get a writer's strike. We get, John Turturro improvising, and then Michael Bay's like, print it. Okay.
Hey, it
worked.
Look,
it worked.
That's good stuff. I mean,
I'm in the unpopular opinion, but I liked the twins in Revenge of the Fallen. I didn't see them as racial stereotypes. Some people are like,
I can see how people would. Think that,
Michael Bay got some flack for that when Revenge of the Fallen came out.
I liked that.
I liked Skids and Mudflap. I like those two. Like just a couple of posers, they're a couple of punks. But of course they had to shelve them for the third film, and they were in the novelization of the third film. They were killed by Sentinel Prime.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They used that gun and they just turned to rust or whatever. Anyway.
I like that movie. Yeah. They've built some good characters in the series over time.
Just please no more Mark Wahlberg. Please no more Mark Wahlberg. I'm an inventor, okay? Yeah. Optimus, I'm going to help you, okay? Yeah, I'm drinking Bud Light, okay? No, I don't need more of that, please.
When you put it that way, all right, fine.
Yeah.
It was interesting because they brought back Josh Duhamel finally, though.
Yeah, and for the fifth one, but the fifth one stunk on ice. I cannot. I've watched the fifth one once.
Oh no,
I cannot watch the fifth one again. The last
hey,
look, garbage.
I told you I went to the theater for that because and everybody. In fairness, now I had a freebie. Okay, I had a freebie, so I could go. Like I had like a gift certificate. Everybody looked at me and they're like, "Why are you going?" I'm like, "Because honestly, well, not only was it free." The one thing I can say is, as much as sometimes the Transformer movies aren't spectacular, here's the thing I can say about when I've seen the Transformer movies in the theater. I walk away satisfied. And I usually walk away feeling like, that was worth my time this afternoon, and I'm okay with wasting my time here watching a Transformer movie, this Michael Bay Transformer movie, because it's like, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
you know exactly what you're going to get. You know exactly where this is going.
11% on Rotten Tomatoes, but yeah, exactly.
Well, but you know that it's like, okay, you're going to have the part where they practically blow up the whole city, and you're going to have the music where it's like, everything is horrible. Then all of a sudden, dun-dun-dun-dun,
yeah, here comes Optimus Prime, and
here comes the the only thing I can say in those movies is it's like Optimus Prime disappears for entire swaths of the movie.
And then he comes back. He needs a heroic entrance.
Yeah, but he really disappears. It's like where did he go?
Yeah.
Did he have to did he get stuck in the bathroom? He couldn't pull up his zipper or some shit like that? I mean, where did he go? It's like sometimes
he was elsewhere.
Yeah, he was where? There was the one time he got hung up in some wires and shit. And he was hung up in
Dark
wires
of the Moon, when he was in Chicago, the fight in Chicago, and it's he's flying and he got caught on some power lines or something.
Yeah, he got caught on power lines.
Help me.
Right, but he's hung up on power lines for 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, and that way they had the scene where they almost killed Bumblebee, but they didn't, and well.
Where Patrick Dempsey was in there as the bad guy. Right?
Yeah, I saw a couple scenes when there was filming in Chicago. I saw a couple of those scenes with him, and they were at the end where they're fighting. She and LaBeouf were fighting. I saw some of that in Chicago that day. Anyway,
hey, I got a question for you. As long as we're on that for 2 seconds.
What's that?
What's your take on because usually Chicago is pretty safe in a lot of these things. Usually it's they blow up New York or LA or DC. And it's they finally get around to Chicago and it's oh, hey, finally Chicago. And then all of a sudden they start blowing up the entire city. It's like, you know what? You guys can stick to DC, New York, and LA. You know that, right?
Yeah, because that was the summer of 2010. I just got my first iPhone. I got a 3GS.
Oh God!
And I still have the picture on my current iPhone of that picture I got of Bumblebee from Dark of the Moon, and that was fun. But of course, seeing walking down Wacker Drive, and seeing the piles of rubble and the busted up cars, and then here's a crowd forming. Okay, they're going to film something, and you wait 10 minutes, and all of a sudden you see a couple of fireballs, and everyone goes, "Yay!"
Yeah.
That was fun. Be sure, blow up Chicago a couple times. I don't care.
Yeah, as long as you blow up our mayor a few times, that's okay. Or blow up city council a couple of times. That would have been. So I guess the Flintstone project is back on, except now it's Elizabeth Banks with Fox.
Everyone thought Seth MacFarlane won it. I think he wanted to take a stab at the Flintstones.
He did, but it didn't go forward.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Yeah.
So now supposedly it's going to be set 20 years where Pebbles is going to be embarking on her career. So.
Okay.
So I guess
Did
Elizabeth
she marry
Banks,
Bam Bam?
It doesn't say.
I presume. That's what's because there was one. There was not. I remember there was another series, a sequel series. They did it it was the late 70s, early 80s, where Pebbles and Bam Bam were teenagers in high school.
Yep.
And they were kind of like an item. I mean, they weren't overtly a couple, but they were like hanging out, part of a gang.
Yeah.
And they did all those other series like in the 80s, they were Flintstone Kids, and along with they tied in Captain Caveman and Son, but yeah, give me more Flintstones. Sure, I'll watch it. The last Flintstones, the last newest version of the Flintstones we got was an episode of Harvey Birdman, where they played for Fred Flintstone was kind of like the mob boss.
Oh, really?
A mob boss of Bedrock.
Oh, nice.
He had to represent it was like a Sopranos kind of parody where he. And he's like one of his animal appliances was ratting out on him. He's like, "You're dead to me, washing machine." It was just some woolly mammoth saying he did it.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's the newest. Yeah, and as far as Flintstones go, whatever. I don't know if they're still making Fruity Pebbles commercials, but sure, I'd still be up for a new Flintstone series. I'll watch it. Oh, I remember DC did was it? Yeah, DC Comics. They did a bunch of. Modern, more adult take on Hanna-Barbera franchises. They did Scooby-Doo and the Zombie Apocalypse. And I bought issue 1 of the Flintstones, and that was interesting, but not enough to be I'm not following this for $4 a month.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting because certainly Elizabeth Banks has been hit or miss on stuff. The new Press Your Luck is very, very good. Now, meanwhile, the Charlie's Angels thing kind of didn't go where she wanted it to go.
No, that kind of... Kirsten Stewart, I don't know, might have been part of it. I don't know.
Well, I don't know that it was that.
Well, that was right around the same time as the Me Too stuff was going on?
Well, and so there's, I mean, I think we talked about it at the time that we were all kind of the only real name in this movie is Kristen Stewart. And I feel like that's not enough to basically make me want to go to a theater. They kind of went with a couple of names of some people who they kind of didn't go with big names. And I feel like with Charlie's Angels, you kind of got to go with big names.
Yeah,
it's not a
Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu the last.
Yeah, and Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're not talking. And then they brought in freaking Demi Moore for a bad guy in the second one. So I mean, I feel like they were trying to go. They missed the mark with that. They needed bigger names to go with Kristen Stewart. But so we got a Marvel trailer today too.
Oh my God! Yeah, we got this long. It was like a 3-minute thing, and it was Van hearing Stan Lee's voice again.
Yeah,
that was the big thing. Obviously, posted the Squares. It's everywhere. It's on the Squares page in case you didn't know. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. That was something I did not expect today.
Nope.
So that was awesome. We got pretty much all of Phase 4. And, oh, man, what a...
Although it was interesting because they didn't say it. But
no,
near the end, I don't know if you caught it.
Yep.
They make the circle for Fantastic Four.
Yep.
But they don't show it, and they don't give a date.
Nope. But just say the number 4, and then Marvel Studios.
Right. They do kind of like, it's almost like subtle that it's back there that they're making the 4 for the Fantastic Four. But they don't show it to you, but it's
certainly implied, yes.
Certainly was the circle for the Fantastic Four without question.
Yes, it was. Yep, definitely.
And
so we got they teased 10 films between now and the end of summer of 2023.
I thought it was interesting.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. You were skipping out.
Oh yeah, someone keeps trying to call me.
Okay, there you go.
I thought it was interesting because they didn't talk about the Netflix shows at all.
Nope, it's all Marvel Studios.
I mean, not Netflix. It's all the Disney Plus shows.
Yep.
I thought it was interesting.
Films. They're actually all movies. They didn't mention the Disney Plus series, just all the films.
No, and I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that they only talked about the films and not the actual, and none of the Disney Plus shows. But I don't know. I don't know about you. You see, I think you're more interested in this upcoming slate of movies than I am.
Yeah.
Like these next 3, I'm kind of like, I don't know that. I'm not sure I'm big on Black. I know Black Widow, and yet I'm kind of like, yeah, I feel like this is 3 years too late.
It seems like it now, especially this is what we should have gotten before Infinity War. Because it does take place before Infinity War.
Right.
Well, we're getting it now, and we should be happy, and I'm happy enough. I want to see it. I wanted to see it for a year.
I guess. I feel like this movie should have been done, this movie should have been done a long time ago.
I completely agree.
And I think that's my problem with it, is it's like, okay, this seems like a pass the baton movie to whoever the new Black Widow is going to be, and not hey, we're going to get more Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. At least in my opinion, at least from what I can tell, and it's like, I'm not interested in that. I'd like to see Scarlett Johansson get an opportunity to play this character in more movies than just this, if you know what I mean, in terms of the solo. I hear you. And I think that's where I take issue with it. And I don't know. I'm not Shang-Chi. I'm not feeling. The Eternals were never were never a book I was that interested in. Again, they're picking, with the exception of Black Widow, where I'm just not feeling it. They've picked 2 books where I'm like, and again, I'm looking at this from a perspective of books, not necessarily of movies. Okay, they picked 2 books where I'm like, I never read a Shang-Chi book in my life. And I know very little about the Eternals, and I don't know that I remember, and I don't know that I want to care. And I understand from a Marvel perspective, from an MCU perspective, maybe you're like, hey, it's an MCU movie, I'm good.
Yeah, well, I never gave a crap about Doctor Strange until the MCU, Doctor Strange and Cumberbund.
Okay, Cumberbund.
Barnacle Canderblanc.
See, I guess Strange, I never bought a lot of Strange books, but Doctor Strange books, but Doctor Strange always would do crossover stuff.
Yeah, he'd always make appearances in other
books, so I was always good with Doctor Strange. The other thing was Marvel did, and I don't know where you'd find it at this point. Maybe Disney Plus has it. There's a movie that came out in the 2000s, an animated movie for Doctor Strange, that is absolutely fabulous. That gives an origin for Doctor Strange, and it's not the MCU version, but it's more in line with it's somewhat like the MCU version, except there's some differences with who the bad guys are, and it's more mystical based. Where you're talking about the Mandarin and Fing Fung Fung and all that kind of stuff. Okay, where they were like, we're never going to be able to pull that off in a Doctor Strange movie, not yet.
So let's see, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, the Eternals. That's next year. And then at the end of the year, right before Christmas, we get Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of circling right there.
You think you're going to theater to see that?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm gonna have a choice, but that's for some strange reason I didn't realize.
I think that'll probably be our next big theater event. Because I said Black Widow's going to be on Disney Plus. I'm going to pay the money. I'll have some barbecue. Have some friends over. We're going to watch Black Widow.
Well, maybe.
But with Shang-Chi and the Eternals, I don't care. But with Spider-Man, I'm there in the theater for Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Let me know. I'll be maybe that's something where that's a Spurs of the Round Table kind of gathering, and we all get together and watch. We get together and watch Black Widow at your place or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Sure,
that by that point we're all vaccinated. We should be all good. So that might work.
Yeah. So in March of 2022, we get Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which will tie in with obviously WandaVision because
and Spider-Man supposedly.
And Spider-Man. Okay, well, maybe.
Spider-Man supposedly because because Doctor Strange is in Spider-Man.
Okay, cool. Then May of next year is Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that because Taika Waititi and Hemsworth, and see what they do with Jane Foster as wielding the hammer.
I just want to see Natalie Portman in some sort of skimpy outfit. Can I admit that now?
Let's go watch episode 2. Attack of the Clones.
Oh my God! Outfits. Oh my God! She is smoking in that thing.
Yeah, episode 2. She's wearing some of those crazy outfits, and you think this Padawan. Oh, he's only a Padawan learner. Oh, he's the outfit. Here, let me wear this outfit. Hey, Anakin, how do you like this? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, use the Force, baby.
Mm-hmm. He's gonna pass that fruit across that table, if you know what I mean.
Oh, hell yeah!
And then in July we get Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We have a confirmed title, so not gonna be Black Panther 2. Just be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
See, now isn't there supposed to be? I thought there's supposed to be a Wakanda show on Disney Plus before that.
Nope.
I thought they said they were doing a Disney Plus show too.
Nope, not that I know of. Maybe it'll be part of that What If series, but that's it.
No, I'm pretty sure there's a Wakanda series coming too.
No, maybe. Maybe it'll deal with that one kid who was in with Falcon Winter Soldier.
Maybe. I was under the impression they're doing a Disney Plus series too. So, and then again, the time frames make sense because that's a long way down the road. So yeah, you might have a Wakanda series on Disney Plus to set things up, especially with everything that's going to have changed.
Yeah, and that's we never got that in Falcon Winter Soldier.
It's funny,
resolution of what's going on in Wakanda with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. So.
Yeah, they've been quiet on that on purpose.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah, I think they're just.
And by the way, Michael B. Jordan still talking about you could bring me back.
Yeah, he could be the alternate universe. Yeah,
you could bring me back. I could come back. I could be Black Panther. And you know what? It's not a horrible idea. Well.
No, not a terrible idea. No.
Actually, it'd be kind of funny if it was him and Shuri both as Black Panther.
No.
That would be interesting if you had both of them. But I don't think they could get away with it. I think that there would be so much outcry about not letting her headline the movie by herself.
Right.
As the Black Panther.
Let her pass the torch. That's what I think it's going to be.
Yeah. Well.
And speaking of girl power, in November 2022, not Captain Marvel 2, calling it The Marvels, which will introduce Kamala Khan as Ms. Marvel.
Well, I'm not convinced we won't see more of, what's her name, too? From WandaVision. Yeah,
Monica Rambeau. Yeah,
Monica Rambeau.
With
her now having powers and everything. No.
Yeah, now she got the superpowers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm up for that. Can't wait to see that.
I'm just surprised. I thought Spider-Man wasn't going to be until 2022, not 2021.
Yep.
So
Christmas.
I'm surprised we so went. Wow. I wonder when we can expect the first Spider-Man trailer because, we're coming up on. We're in May now. I mean.
Well, sure. Well, for Shang-Chi is in September, so maybe when Black Widow hits theaters, we'll see. Yeah,
you know what it is. That's it. Yeah. That's when we're going to see
the Spider-Man trailer.
That's when we're going to see a Spider-Man trailer. Is we're going to probably get a Spider-Man trailer
when Black Widow drops in July.
Although you know what? I take it back. They've usually released that trailer on its own though. They really have. They haven't released it with movies before. They usually just release it.
Yeah, I remember I'm seeing him on my timelines roughly 2 years ago when we got Endgame, so I'm seeing all the teasers leading up to it. So you might be right with that.
Well, Spider-Man. The real question about what Spider-Man is, how many of these rumors are true? How many of these rumors are true about who's in it, who's
Maguire
not?
And Garfield
and Garfield
right.
and supposedly Charlie Cox is in it playing Matt Murdock or Daredevil from the Netflix shows. There's a rumor out there.
We'll see. We'll find out.
And supposedly both Emma Stone and Kristen Dunst are going to be back too. That supposedly will get Mary Jane and will get
Gwen Stacy.
And Gwen Stacy. So, like I said, there's a lot out there about that Spider-Man movie. And, the other thing is, I'm still not convinced that this isn't how they're going to figure out how they're going to connect. They're going to connect the Sony stuff with the MCU. And I'm still not convinced that someone isn't going to come in and play Miles Morales.
Yeah, they did tease that in the first Spider-Man when he fought the Vulture.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it would certainly be interesting if suddenly. Well, no, in fairness, I kind of laugh because seriously, at that point, you could go a lot of directions. I mean, if you're bringing back Tobey Maguire and you're bringing back Andrew Garfield, I mean, you could do some interesting things here.
Yeah, sort of like how they did with the animated one they just did with Miles.
Well, no, I mean, even in the end about who's sticking around. I mean, because I'm still not convinced that we won't end up with a Spider-Man in the Sony universe as well. That we won't see him deal with Morbius. We won't see him deal with Venom. I'm not positive that that's not happening.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
Didn't they talked about doing a sequel with Bane, Tom Hardy?
Yeah, no, they are.
I mean, yeah,
that's
Sony's
happening.
Been quiet about that. Of course, now they can make it not be, but with the pandemic.
Yeah,
So then,
by the way, that was a quiet deal that happened last week too. So Sony came to some sort of agreement with Marvel about putting certain Spider-Man stuff
on Disney Plus. Yeah,
on Disney Plus.
Yeah, interesting.
That was a quiet thing that went by. Sony
be like, oh, okay, you can cut us a check, and Disney be like, okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna have so it looks like the Spider-Man, some of the Spider-Man. The question is, does that pertain to Venom and more?
That'll help. It'll help promote more of the Sony stuff as we get closer to Spider-Man.
Which is interesting because they just signed that whole deal with Netflix too, and then all of a sudden. But my understanding is, here's the interesting part. Here's the crazy part. My understanding is the way it reads is so Venom 2 would go to Netflix first, be there for a period of time, then leave, and then end up on Disney Plus. If that's what I understand it and how I read it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's crazy. Is that essentially? It sounds like it's going to go to it'll go to Netflix and then it'll go to Disney Plus. So, who knows?
So then in February 2023, we get Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantum Mania.
Yeah,
that's take it or leave it. I mean, I've always found those movies entertaining.
That's a smart drop. That's a smart drop time for them because we talked about that
in
before.
February. Yeah, it's not a very active time of year.
Right,
who knows where we're going to be 2 years from now.
Right. Well, not only that, like before the pandemic, we were stuck with all the Oscar movies, and we're always looking for something in there to watch. Mm-hmm. And if you've got the right movie, that thing. I mean, that's part of what helped Black Panther. You can make good bank
that time of year.
Right. That's part of what helped Black Panther was you dropped it in like February during Black History Month, and then on top of Black History Month, it was good, and it rolled over everything for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Because it built momentum from February because there was nothing. And this is the part that nobody wants to talk about. After a while, we all get tired of the fact that there's nothing to watch other than Oscar movies in February. We get tired of it.
In December, January, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Oscar bait that time of year for obvious reasons.
And even in February.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
when the Oscar movies come back to rebuild the hype.
Right. I mean, that's why I always laugh. Jim Carrey made all his... Look, Jim Carrey became a $20 million movie actor on the fact that he was smart enough and somebody was smart enough to drop some of his Jim Carrey movies in February, like Liar Liar and those types of movies.
Right, Yes Man or whatever.
Where everybody was like, oh God, somebody give us something interesting. And they'd blow up because everybody was like, oh God, somebody give us something we want to go to the movies for.
So as a comedy, you got to take something with to show.
Yeah, I think that'll help Batman Wasp a lot because it'll be early rather than the last two times it's gotten dropped in the summertime.
Well, I mean, the previous Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think they dropped it in August after Infinity War. So we got a tease of who got snapped at the end before Endgame.
But there were again in the summer a movie like Ant-Man. I don't know how well it. I wonder how much it would fare differently. I wonder how much it would fare differently because it was right in the middle of that summer period where there's still a lot of competition. It wasn't late enough where it could pull like a Suicide Squad or a Guardians, where it was like, okay, it was more mid-level.
It'll still bring the MCU faithful into the theaters, but.
Well, and if it's entertaining in any sort of kind, it'll build and it'll make more than they expected because they put it in February. But that's smart. Just like I laugh because, I've always wondered why Marvel has not gone down this. The only answer I can give you is, I wonder because they were released Spider-Man practically on Christmas. Is it that they don't have a Star Wars or an Avatar movie ready?
By this time, that time next year we'll have Mandalorian on Disney Plus.
Right, but usually Disney had a strategy where they were supposedly supposed to release
an Avatar movie and a Star Wars movie, I remember.
Opposite years.
Right.
Like, one would be one year, one would be the other year, and their plan was to do it.
I think the success of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, I think, has changed that. I mean, we're getting this new animated series this week on Disney Plus, The Bad Batch, which is going to tie into the Clone Wars animated. I think they might go a little more. I mean, I know we got a bunch of movies teased. Was it last year with
I just wonder if the pandemic
has obviously changed it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if the pandemic has pushed that back a year, and that's the reason. Well, keep in mind, too, as much as we're sitting here talking about Disney, that is Sony, and if Sony wants to go and play for, Sony wants to go up against Avatar or Star Wars, as much as technically it's considered a Marvel movie, it is a Sony movie. Mm. So maybe they want their piece of that Christmas money. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I kind of laugh that the MCU has not been looked at for Christmas time as much as it. Somehow Star Wars became a Christmas movie. I don't know why, because once upon a time it was a movie that got released for the summer, and then it turned into a Christmas release all the time.
Yeah, the original trilogy all was released during the summer.
Well, even the first three, when Lucas did the first three, that was all summer.
Yeah, the prequels. Yeah.
The prequels were all in the summer.
Yeah. Maybe they just followed the Lord of the Rings thing. This is the big Star Wars epic. Maybe they're following that formula.
Right. I think they saw it and they wanted to go after the big money, and they knew that they could basically have that time frame because there was no Harry Potter around anymore. And,
right.
You're right. Lord of the Rings and some of those other things. And it's like, hey, you know what? We want to steal it from Warner's, but why not MC?
And Star Trek was a Christmas movie, like some of the last Star Trek films, like Nemesis came out, and Generations, and I think Insurrection also came out on First Contact.
Yeah, they
all came out at Christmas, or at least November or December.
Well, they were more Thanksgiving releases.
Yeah, Thanksgiving. Yeah, or early December. Yeah.
Right, and that's always smart too.
And then finally, the last film they teased under this big Marvel movie dump was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, May 5th, 2023. I'm like, yes,
yeah, that's
please,
a long time.
Please do not.
It's a long time.
2 years. I'm willing to wait. Just make sure it's don't.
But my understanding is that in the meantime, we're getting that. I don't remember when we're getting that Guardians Christmas special.
Guardians holiday special. I think that's the end of next year. I think.
I guess I know Gunn's been working on it because I've seen stuff off of his page.
He posts like pages, the covers of his scripts or whatever.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Yeah. But Guardians 3, I'm all for it. So yeah, this is exciting. Mostly exciting. Dick said Shang-Chi and the Eternals. I can take it or leave it, but all the rest, I'm like, yeah, gimme.
Right, and I think that's the interesting part because I think it'll be interesting. I'm curious because those other two, I think the only thing Marvel has going for them right now is, there's a pandemic. So maybe they can sit there and look at numbers and go, this is because of the pandemic, if you understand what I mean. So if the numbers aren't there for some of these movies, like I'm sure they'll look at that from the perspective of Black Widow. But as the year goes on, I wonder how much they'll use that as excuses for Shang-Chi and Eternals, let's say this. What's the target numbers for those movies? Are they looking to make 200, 300? Are they looking to make?
What are their projections? But
what's
it's not going to be the Eternals
number?
Is not going to be as high as say Spider-Man.
Well, forget that. I mean,
or Black Panther.
We're not talking Black Panther. We're not talking Spider-Man. We're not talking Avengers. But are we talking? Are we talking Ant-Man Wasp? Are we talking Captain America? Although Captain America made good bank. Are we talking Thor? I mean, Thor did halfway decent. I just don't. Yeah,
Ragnarok was that made some good money.
I'm trying to think of where the ones are that didn't make huge bank off the. I mean, Ant-Man's the most telling name.
Probably, maybe along with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, I think, was like a November release.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were.
Right, but it did well enough. See, that's the thing. That's the question. What are the projections on those two movies with characters that?
We'll see.
Look, because I'm gonna be honest. To me, the Eternals and Shang-Chi are even more obscure than Doctor Strange. I mean, at least for me, and I grew up on comic books since the 80s, and those were characters to me where I'm like, I don't know anything. I mean,
funny. There were some it was at the Kane County show a couple weeks ago, and this one guy's got a bunch of Shang-Chi covers, comic book
right from like the 70s, right?
Right. It's like, now I'll try and sell my Shang-Chi books. I'm like, man, I'll wait until after the movie comes out before you get them out.
Well, and that's the part. Well, because
if they're trying to make an investment, if you're using comic books as an investment like that, trying to build the hype, maybe wait until after the film comes out, then maybe you get a little money. I don't know. But this was awesome. We got this today, so thank you, Marvel, for wetting our whistle for some good Marvel MCU goodness. I'm looking forward to having those. When the pre-order drops, I'm like, okay, how many people come with? I get the group chat going and be like, okay, I'm going to Fandango. You got 6 seats. Boom. See you guys in 2 weeks. Can't wait.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see and that's the thing. Like I said, I'm curious what the numbers have to be looking like for Shang-Chi and Eternals and how much they're going to parse those based on the fact that you're talking about a pandemic. And I think that they're still not going to be the numbers exactly you think they're going to be. Although those Godzilla, as much as we're saying that, those Godzilla Kong numbers were
pretty good.
Pretty good.
In spite of the fact that it was also on streaming, but people chose to go to the theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the kind of movie I think you want to see on a big screen. Because there were some big special effect spectaculars. I
mean, they did do in a normal setting, that movie does 100,000 the first weekend. And I think it did 50?
Yeah,
I think it did 50.
100 million, yeah.
I think that's what they've already got.
Of course, it's big on the international crowd too, obviously.
Right, but the point being, I mean, domestically, I think it made $50 million the first
and that was
weekend.
Easter. Was it Easter weekend?
Maybe it was.
Yeah, I think it was Easter. Yeah, we watched it on Easter. Yeah.
Right, but the point being, I mean, $50 million, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and it's streaming on HBO Max for anybody who wants it. In non-pandemic times, that could have been
not bad.
That could have been like $150 million.
Mm-hmm. Well, he still made, and of course, maybe with streaming numbers, that'll.
Right, no. With streaming numbers, obviously, they were probably phenomenal.
Yeah.
The point I'm getting at is it's just. I mean, we're kind of sitting here going, okay, we got to, how much do we have to cut Shang-Chi and Eternals some slack because of the pandemic? But we just saw Godzilla do $50 million in one weekend. And by the time we're getting to Shang-Chi and Eternals, we'll be further along with more people vaccinated and everything.
And more people feeling comfortable about going into a movie theater.
Possibly. So how much can you, well, we'll see. Like I said, it's, again, and the only reason I'm even talking about the numbers, Mike, is just the only reason I'm saying is I'm interested in the strategy. I'm interested because there are a lot of characters that they could have chosen to do movies with. These are the characters they've chosen, and there's a part of me where it's like we again, there's a lot we don't understand about Phase 4 yet. Still, we don't understand if a lot of this stuff is interconnected or not. They've told us it's not going to be nearly as interconnected as it used to be, or they're trying not to make it as interconnected. At one point, they mentioned it.
Yeah.
And so we don't, and they're talking about maybe things might be different time frames than you think and all this stuff. We don't know how it all connects together, or if it does connect together, or if it doesn't matter. And we don't have any of those answers. I mean, there are certainly some themes that from Spider-Man through the two shows that we've seen that we certainly can pick up on. I mean, and we have some ideas of where directions are going, but how does that all fit? Does it all fit together, and do we care? Or does it matter that it fits all together? I don't know.
Well, the crossovers can work themselves in. They'll see what's popular, and then they can, if they've got, I'm sure they got a story planned for the next Avengers. If there's going to be another crossover film, a big epic, we might not see another one like that for a while. Maybe it's when they're going to use these 2 years to build this new crew, and then once they get the dynamic right between what's going on in Cosmic Marvel, what's going on in outer space, stuff that whatever antics are still going on Earth, combined with what's going on in the Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
Then we'll get maybe some direct to Disney Plus epic event that we could watch, almost a la the Snyder Cut.
Oh God.
Maybe not 4 hours, but I'm talking maybe some Disney Plus exclusive epic crossover. And I not call it Avengers 5 or whatever they're going to call it. Just make it some Marvel.
No, they'll be Avengers 5 is good. See, here's the interesting part to me. Look, we know that there's money in another Avengers movie, so that's going to happen. Here's the interesting question: can the Fantastic Four be the new Avengers? Because just because it's the Fantastic Four doesn't mean you can't pull a whole lot of people in for a cosmic event.
Right.
Because that's been done before in Fantastic Four books. And it doesn't necessarily mean, because look, the Fantastic Four has had a lot of people go in and out of its membership over the years. I would absolutely die of laughter if at some point we got the infamous lineup that only showed up in Fantastic Four once, but even to this day is still talked about. I don't know if you've ever heard about this. They couldn't find the Fantastic Four, so the search party Fantastic Four group was, get this, Wolverine, Ghost Rider, the Hulk, and Spider-Man.
Were they in Fantastic Four uniforms?
No, but they're on the cover as the new Fantastic Four.
The new Fantastic Four.
And literally, it's just, like I said, it's still a popular. People talk about that. It's been decades old. still talk about that. Just like, you know, one of the things I would love to see them tackle for Spider-Man, but they'll never do it, is when Spider-Man got the Captain Universe powers, and Spider-Man's like more powerful than the Hulk. You know, and when I say more powerful, let me put it this way. Spider-Man with Captain Universe powers, Spider-Man could take on Carol Danvers and win. That's how powerful he was at that point, to the point of where Doctor Doom was trying to steal the powers, and then he took Loki and him combined to create what they called the Tri-Sentinel. So it was magical, and it was a Sentinel, and it was after Spider-Man. and he had to fight it, and the amusing part was, first he had to fight it as Captain Universe, and then when the Captain Universe powers were gone a few months later, it was, hey, guess what? We're going to bring the Tri-Sentinel back to fight Spider-Man. It's like, how's that going to work? No. And the scary part is, stuff like that's now possible because you have. But, you know, it's going to be interesting because, and the only reason I say some of these things about this stuff about the Fantastic Four is, the Fantastic Four has had a roster turnovers at time. And, like, for example, one of their members that was a regular member for a good period of time, ironically, was Jennifer Walters, a.k.a. She-Hulk. Well, okay, we're having a She-Hulk movie. What if She-Hulk somehow ends up in the Fantastic Four all of a sudden?
Yeah, they can't get Chris Evans to be the Human Torch again.
Oh, yeah, really.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's an idea. There you go. That's the project that Chris Evans is working on.
He's going to be the Human Torch again.
He's going to come back and play the Human Torch and lose like 80 pounds so he can look like a soaking wet again.
Yeah.
Like, so he doesn't look all buff anymore like he used to. And it'd be really funny if certain people were like, you look familiar. I get that a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Haven't I seen you somewhere before? Yeah.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Although, you know, now that would be interesting because we're talking about multiverse. What if, oh my God, what if Chris Evans in the multiverse shows up
as Human Torch?
Shows up as a Human Torch. What if, like, you brought back Michael Chiklis to play the Thing?
No.
Or Julian McMahon to play Dr. Doom.
Or Jessica Biel as Sue Storm.
Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba, I'm sorry, not Jessica Biel. I got those confused.
You know, there was a casting that I thought was a great idea at the time, and then I saw her act, and I was like, oh, this was a bad idea. This was a bad idea. Part of it is I just wanted to see Jessica Alba in the tight uniform, I'm not going to lie.
The blue outfit, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Well,
yeah, they did not. That grouping did not. Yeah. No.
We got anything else? Any other news?
The only other thing is, so I guess, the blonde, not Kaylee Kuko, the other blonde-haired girl from
Big Bang.
From Big Bang, Melissa Rauch, I guess, is the executive producer and going to star in a new Night Court with John Larroquette.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You know.
I mean, I think Marky Post is still alive.
Maybe
the female love interest.
Yeah.
But the judge is dead.
Yeah. What's his name? Harry. Yeah, Harry's been dead for a long
Richard
time.
Richard Mall, I think Richard Mall is dead.
I don't know.
Whatever, you know, we've had a couple of bailiffs. And
I don't know what about Marshall. I don't know about where Marshall Walfsfield is these days. I mean, the real star of that show was Dan Larroquette anyway. So
yeah, he was the horn dog. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Dan. Everything was really around Dan. So
but
you know, they brought back the right person. They're going to try to move. I mean, in fairness, I don't think they're going to try to reinvent the wheel. And if they can. You know, if they can bring back some sitcoms that seem to be worthwhile, okay, so be it. But
yeah, sure.
You know, that's why I'm not all that against this Flintstone thing either. You know.
No, I'm interested. So, but Night Court, I don't know. I miss that show. That was a good show.
Oh, well, in fairness, that's one of the reasons why I'm not so against it. It's like,
yeah,
because I hate to say it, go watch some of the ones from the '80s, and it's like, boy,
they're still
really
funny.
They're funny, but I don't know how much they hold up. You know, it's like, wow. It's like, wow, the wow, it's grainy, and it's like,
It's like, I need to get to a telephone. It's like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the 80s.
Yeah, I'm sure Ivan will be watching it on MeTV on, when he gets home or something like that.
Yeah, I heard they were expanding Me Too television. I think.
Yeah.
There's something on Feeder's column. Something about the expansion of Me Too.
I don't know about Me Too, but MeTV, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think, boy, for not having Ivan, we sure.
Yeah, well, Marvel and DC TV talk, so that's enough.
Yeah. In fairness, it's funny because we didn't have a need to get to music talk today because it's like, okay, where's Ivan? Well, we don't have Ivan.
But well, hopefully he'll be back next week. He'll be.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll
get him back here. So. Get him back to Chicago. See him back on his porch. You can hear all the traffic go by.
God. Well, my understanding is he's moved, so that.
In August. That's the plan. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. There's still part of me that kind of wishes I could see like Ivan on a tractor.
Yeah, we need some photos. Too bad. Maybe with his permission, we'll get some photographs from his vacation. We'll put them up on the Squares page.
There's a part of me that I just want to watch him like on one of those riding mowers, be like, yeah, man. I don't know why.
With his portable record player on his lap, playing a 78.
Right. and I don't know why when I picture Ivan doing this, all I keep hearing is, I don't know if you remember this song from Snow, Informer. It's like that Informer, icky icky boom boom now kind of thing with Ivan on the yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's just for some strange reason that would be hysterical to me, is Ivan on like a riding mower. On a riding mower, like literally with that song playing while he's on a riding mower. I don't think I could last. I think that would be like yep.
Yeah, man. So I guess that'll do episode 146 of Squares Roundtable podcast. We're on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We're on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe, to get new content. We're on, of course, the Facebooks, the Good Book of Face. Thank you, Mr. Zuckerberg. And, of course, you can follow us with all our nerdy and our funny stories and our memes. We're putting some more memes up. That's getting some traction, with some of those memes on our Squared. Mm-hmm. That's good. So, for our side hustle, news of the Squared later in the week. Ivan is on twitch.tv at Java and Ivan. Hopefully he'll be spinning again soon. And then Jeff is on Dynamite Productions on all the usual platforms. Google, Apple, Spotify, Anchor. You can listen to our podcast, download it. And a couple of smaller ones, too, like Bullhorn and Overcast. We're on some of those, too. So some of the smaller ones, lesser-known ones, not just iTunes and whatnot. Email us at sotrtpodcast@gmail.com. So, yeah, time for me to get out of here. And we'll hope to have you all back next week. We'll have Ivan with us, too. So enjoy your week. Thanks for listening. Take it easy, folks.